So Jesse was my introduction, really, to Red Pill and MGTOW. And the reason why was because, the shit that she did to me, the shit that she put me through. And I realized, wow, women aren't, they aren't these nice, these nice loving creatures as Disney portrayed them to be. And, I had sort of knew before I met Jessie about all that, but she kind of sealed it home for me. That was when I was bitter, I was hurt, and it took me probably a year and a half to get over it. And actually, Julie helped me get over it, because she came when she went to college. She actually graduated, and then she actually met some guy. She was going to go to Wyoming. She actually did move to Wyoming, and she was, living with this guy, and she was going to marry him. And then I hit her up, and I was like, of course I hit her up. No, I hit her up after Jessie, because my sister lived in Pullman, which is really close to where she lived, which was in North Idaho. She went to Idaho University, Idaho Vandals or whatever, and she graduated. I went and visited her right before she graduated. Of course, it was just sex, but she was very compliant. She was a very compliant girl. She was very accommodating and nice and kind. Of course, she was a slut, and she had this bad side to her. She had this dirty, slutty side to her, right? And I just, got lucky because she was down for anything, and there was no resistance. It was just all compliance. Anything I asked her to do sexually, she would do. And of course, it's probably a red flag, but she wasn't the hottest girl, so it was she probably was a 6, but I think she was my type. Of course, she's definitely hands down the best sex I ever had, and that's probably why I fell for her. Or really, I just fell for our being physical together, and because we didn't really have a great relationship as far as we definitely got along, we had fun, but it wasn't a solidified relationship. There wasn't a lot of talk. There wasn't a lot of course, later on, that was one of the reasons that she said, she didn't want to be with me, because, we didn't have that basis, and which I was open to, and I wanted to have that. But it's these girls are, they're quagmires. They say one thing and do another. She says she wants this thing, but whenever I talk to her or whatever, then she's all vague, and she never wants to get deep or talk. So it's they say what they want, they say they want one thing, but then they go and do another. So, at the end of the day, she just wanted somebody to be, to take care of her and to pay her, pay the bills, and, kind of be her overseer. And there's a lot of relationships out there like that. A lot of relationships out there where the guy just pays the bills, comes home, and they don't really have that close of a relationship. And it just is what it is. And she's content in that lifestyle. Every girl's different. There's a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences as well. Some girls want deeper love. I don't know, but anyway, so I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. But Julie was with a guy, and she was engaged with a guy in Wyoming. And then I asked her to come back. I asked her to come back to Seattle. And she did. She just left the guy. But of course, she lied a lot, and she didn't tell me that she was actually engaged to the guy. And then bing, bang, boom, she was pregnant with his baby. So she came back with a baby in her belly, and she left a guy that, she was engaged to. But I guess the another reason why she left was because, she didn't really, she said she didn't really love him. She said I think she said that they didn't really get along that well. She was bored with him or something like that, and they didn't do much. They just sat on the couch all day or something. And she had a lot of boyfriends, and she was kind of a homely girl, but I think she's sexy in a way. She doesn't know how to present herself very well. she's kind of homely, I guess, but she's kind of a, I don't know how to put it. She's kind of a sleeper. Like, she's actually really pretty in a way. But she doesn't really present herself well. She doesn't really take care of herself that well, which was a problem with me. She didn't really work out a whole lot. She didn't really dress that well. She's a little bit on the nerdy side, but she wasn't nerdy at the same time. Like, I really liked her personality. It's just, so there's some things that kept her sort of from being very popular with guys. I'll put it that way. And a lot of times these kind of girls are the worst girls because they're not very adjusted. It's like the girls are either too far one way or they're too far the other way, right? Very rarely are they really adjusted very well. So a lot of times the girls that get less attention from guys, they often end up being more slutty because they feel that they need to compensate for the lack of attention that they're getting. And this is how Julie was. And she was also just very, lustful, a very lustful girl. She just, she was just down for fucking. She was down for sucking. And she was good, man. I mean, I think I trained her a little bit, but she was good, and that's probably, one of the biggest reasons why it was hard for me to get over her. It was, one of the biggest reasons why I got so caught up in her was because the sex was just so damn good. The sex was good with Jessie, but not that good. Like, she wasn't that compliant. She didn't like giving me head. She tried to make me wait. She complained. She'd like, I don't want to have sex, and and that's how, you probably know that, well, she's going to use sex as bait, in the relationship. She's going to use sex to control you. And she was controlling. Jessie was fucked up. I found out later that Jessie, manipulated her best friend. Her best friend was this redheaded girl who got married to this other redheaded guy, and they had a redheaded baby. And she manipulated the guy to have sex with one of her friends, and she broke up the marriage because of that. And it was just like, that's the most fucked up thing. It's like, why would you do that? But that's what she did, and that was Jessie. A real fucked up person, right? To lie about, being pregnant, to lie about, and that's how I found out afterwards. Was that girl, she messaged me and she's like, Jessie broke up my marriage, and she was lying the whole time. She was never pregnant. So the truth came out. She told me that Jessie was never pregnant. She just used it to keep me around so that I wouldn't break up with her. So, and I tried to console that girl and be like, it's all right. Karma will get her. And actually, karma almost got her. She had a brain tumor about a year ago. She survived, but she almost died because of that brain tumor. So karma almost got her. But that's a pretty fucked up thing, man, to break up your best friend's marriage like that, in that manner as well. Like, man, that's fucked up. But I guess you got to be a fucked up girl to, lie about being pregnant to, just to keep a man around. But Julie was fucked up in her own way. I mean, she was just a real loose girl, real slutty. Even though she was kind of dumpy, but man, she was sexy in bed, man. I don't know, something about her. She just had this personality, this real likable personality. She just was cute in a certain way, and she was funny, and she just really grew on me. That's why it was hard when we broke up. But I was hurt from Jessie during that whole relationship with Julie. So Julie came back to Seattle, and we were together from about 2013 to about 2016. So about 3 years we were seeing each other, and there was definitely a lot of red flags. Like, we didn't see each other every weekend, and it was a weird relationship. Like, there's a few times when, and she had some points, because there's a few times when she really tried to be in a relationship with me. She really tried, and she wanted to be with me, and I pushed her off for various reasons, because I wasn't ready, but also because, I thought she was a slut, and that was one of the main reasons, because she just would always suck me and fuck me, and it was like she was down to do it anywhere. She didn't talk that much, and it was like, I guess in hindsight, that's one of my biggest regrets with Julie was just the fact that she had a lot of qualities, and I potentially could have molded her to something really good because she was so compliant, potentially. But I don't know. There was a lot of red flags. Like I said, she got pregnant when she came back, so she had a baby. That's a huge red flag, She was loose sexually. That was a huge red flag. Of course, we were smoking weed all the time, you know, and she didn't seem to have any, like, you know, quality. She didn't seem to have any good qualities. She didn't seem to have any, like, I don't know. Like, she does have good qualities, but not necessarily wholesome qualities, if that makes sense. Like, she doesn't really seem to have she's not very moral. She doesn't seem to have, like, you know, virtue, I guess you could say. She's not very virtuous, but she's got a lot of good qualities. Like, she's very amiable. She's got a good personality. She's funny. She's fun to get along with. She laughs at your dumb jokes. You know, she's a happy person. So she's got a lot of good qualities, but then she's got some bad, kind of unredeeming qualities at the same time, right? So I think the slutty thing is probably a deal breaker for a lot of guys.